Could silver be the canary in the coal mine, signaling the end of the US dollar's dominance? Well, if that is the case, then all eyes should be on the move that the silver price just made on Friday, with the price rising to the highest level in over a decade and a move in a single session of over 6%. Now, in today's video, we're going to examine this move that silver just made, as well as what the dollar did while silver was on this rip higher. And also, I've got an update for you regarding the BRICS conference to be held this week in Kazan, Russia, and what Vladimir Putin just said regarding their plan, their agenda there, and how it relates to the dollar and the potential creation of a BRICS reserve currency. So let's get to it. Buy your gold and silver at SD Bullion. Right now, new customers can get gold or silver at spot by visiting sdbullion.com/new. Okay, so taking a look at this chart in silver, we'll zoom it out a little bit, and you can see that silver has just blown through the recent highs. Back in May, silver touched around 32.50, and then we've kind of been chipping away at that high recently. But now, I mean, this move clearly puts us well above that. And if we switch to a weekly view on this chart, and then we go ahead and zoom out, you can see you've got to go all the way back to December of 2012 to find a time when the silver price was at current levels. But now let's take a look at this chart of the US dollar index, the DXY. Because the move that the dollar index made on Friday is also quite significant. You'll notice that back at the beginning of October, the dollar broke out of this descending wedge pattern that it had been consolidating in since late August, and it really went on a big rip. The US dollar index rose from a level of around 100 all the way up to almost hitting 104. And with only one day slightly in the red along the way. So it's just been day after day, the US dollar index has been rising. But now on Friday, it appears that that move higher may have ended. And I want to take a look from a technical standpoint at an indicator here, the RSI, or the Relative Strength Index, which is an indicator that can kind of tell us when an asset has become overbought or oversold. And in regards to the US dollar index, this has been a fairly good predictor as of late as to where the trend is moving in the dollar. So you'll notice that at its peak here of just over 104 on Thursday, a good day for the dollar when the dollar was rising, the RSI crossed over this signal line here at 70. And then the following day, we had this decline. Now, if we zoom this out, you will see that every time the US dollar index for the past several years has crossed over this signal line, the US dollar index RSI crosses this signal line, it tends to be a harbinger of a decline in the US dollar index. So here in April, it crossed the signal line, and then we had, a big move down to the 100 level from about 106. Here in September, it also crossed over the signal line. This is September of 2023. And then you saw a decline from about 107 down to around 100. Here's another peak in the RSI from September of 2022 when it crossed over the signal line and the dollar index was up around 114. And then it subsequently fell down to, once again, the 100 level. Now, you'll notice that several times this 100 level has served as a level of support for the dollar. Here, 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 here. And this time around, this decline that we are seeing in the dollar, I think there's a good possibility that this may be the one which takes us below 100. There's just a lot of events occurring in the background here which support a lower US dollar valuation. And I think that this could be the time when we really break through 100. And once that happens, well, it could mean that the dollar is really going to plunge through the floor. And that likely means that silver, this 6% move that we saw on Friday, could just be the beginning. Now, this week, there is a very important event that is taking place in Russia, the BRICS annual summit. And this is something that we all need to keep an eye on. But Vladimir Putin just gave some pre-summit remarks, and it gives you an idea of what is in the works. And I want to touch on some of his talking points in these remarks because this is very important for the US dollar. He says that the multi-nation BRICS organization should explore a SWIFT-like cross-border payment system immune to Western sanctions, as well as use national digital currencies in financing investment projects to end US dollar dominance. And so a focus of this meeting is going to be how the BRICS nations, which are ever expanding. They now control something like 40% of the global population, a larger percentage of global GDP than the G7. How they conduct their trade has a significant impact on how the global economy functions. And the trend now is to de-dollarize. So this is going to be negative for the dollar status as the world reserve currency. Of course, the dollar still has tremendous clout here. It is still used for the vast majority of international trade settlement, but moves from the BRICS and others like the development of a SWIFT alternative that is going to diminish the power of the dollar over time. And the SWIFT system, by the way, which stands for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications, is a system that was developed back in the early 1970s to facilitate payments between banks. And from a technical standpoint, this is not going to be a difficult thing to replace. It's really just about getting members on board. It's basically just a messaging system between banks, like a text messaging system of sorts, which, in 1973 was very high tech, I guess. And I'm sure it's been upgraded over the years, but with all of the developments in financial technology and blockchain, this thing is probably due for an overhaul, for a replacement anyway. And if it is no longer dollar-centric, again, this is going to be a blow against the dollar and not particularly positive for the dollar's long-term outlook. Now, there have also been rumors of a potential even gold-backed BRICS currency that might be announced or implemented or discussed in some manner at this conference, but we're actually getting an update based on what Putin just told us regarding this. And he says that he's advocating a cautious approach in creating a new reserve currency due to differences in the structure and quality of the economies of the BRICS member states. And at this point of time, a BRICS currency is a long-term prospect. It is not under consideration. BRICS will be cautious and act gradually and move slowly. The time has not come yet. For those of you who have perhaps been anticipating a BRICS gold-backed currency this week or this month, it looks like that's not going to be on the agenda. Although I would not be surprised if in some of these meetings the topic does come up and the groundwork is being laid. It's probably why Russia has been accumulating large amounts of gold recently along with the other BRICS nations. And also, interestingly, it was recently announced that the Russian State Fund is going to begin purchasing silver for the first time. So this week, it doesn't look like there's going to be a new currency in the works or anything like that. But what there will be is a concerted effort to reduce the BRICS nations' reliance on the U.S. dollar. And long-term, that's not going to be great for the U.S. dollar index, for the value of the dollar, or its status as the world reserve currency. And I do believe it is possible that this week there could be some developments out of that conference that are going to continue to light a fire under the gold and the silver markets. And I think that what we saw on Friday in silver is just the beginning. So I'm still stacking. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Stay safe and happy stacking, everybody. Smart Silver Stacker out.